Welcome to Jemez Electric's Understanding Your Bill, and this topic is rate riders, something everybody would like to know more about. To start off with, I'd like to take you to our homepage, and this is where we've posted a lot of information on all of the rate riders, and there's a shortcut under Native American Access Cost Recovery Updates, or you can go to the Cooperative tab and Native American Access Cost Recovery. And what we've done here is listed all of the different pueblos that are being negotiated with, because this has to do with rights-of-way cost to the co-op for having the power lines run through pueblo boundaries and serving the people within those pueblo boundaries or Native American lands. So, to show you the situation that the co-op is in, I'd like to open the Google Map to show you. We're one of the most unique cooperatives in the nation because we have 10 Native American tribes that our lines run through their borders and boundaries. And if I can get that to come up, there we go. Here we're on this map that covers a lot of our service territory. You can see that we have some of them listed here. These are just the pueblos. The Navajo Nation is in this area, and the Hickory Apache Nation is in this area. And those ones, we don't have them marked off yet, but we haven't, they're not requesting any rights-of-way easement fees at this time. So, as you can see, we have the Jemez, Zia, Okewenge, Santa Clara, San Ildefonso, Nambe, and Powake is in there too. But you can, if you ever want to see where you live, you can always see if you're in one of the pueblos. You can always just pop in your address, and it'll take you right to it. And it'll pin it, and then if you zoom out a little bit, you can see if you're within the pueblo boundaries or not. This will become important later on as you understand how we bill these. So, at this point, we have had easements in the past with these different tribes, and we are in the process of renegotiating the easement costs, or have already negotiated payments for these right-of-way costs. And we've actually paid out quite a bit already, and we're recovering the cost for Okewenge and Powake. Those are the only two tribes that are that we're recovering those costs from. Okay, now you have a good idea of where the tribal lands reside within our territory. So we're going to go into how we determine what the rate's going to be. So first off, I'd like to take you back to our website and go to our rates section. And down at the bottom, you'll see we have original rate number 19, which lays out the methodology of how to recover these costs that we're paying out for right-of-way easements. And then in that it says that there's going to be a certain amount charged to rate rider 2 and a certain amount that would be charged to the subsequent rate rider that would be the local cost. In order to explain that a little better, I'd like to bring you to one of the maps we had. This one's actually for Pueblo Powake. I'm not going to show you the top part of because it shows the lines and we can't publish that. So I kind of want to just show you just an idea. So it's the acreage associated with the rights-of-way is put into two different buckets, or two different things here. And so we have the system right-of-way acreage and the local right-of-way acreage. Once you do that, then you get a percentage of what each one is. So the methodology behind this is the acreage associated with the system rights of way are things like transmission lines, substations, and primary distribution lines that serve the majority of the load outside, through and outside the pueblo boundaries. And the local rights of way and the acreage associated with that is for lines that are distribution lines, primarily the taps that dead end within the boundaries or serve primarily those within the boundaries. So in breaking that out that way, you get some percentages. So say they were charging us $100, then $71 would go to the system right away, and 29 of those dollars would go to the local rights of way. So then you break it down even further, and so you divide that $71 between all the kilowatts for last year's usage with the entire system, and then you take the $29 and divide that up between all the kilowatts that were used within the pueblo boundaries, and then you get a per kilowatt charge. Okay, so remember these percentages because they come in handy later on. Going back to our rates, we want to pull up first revised rate rider. Let's start with number 3. That's the local rate rider that determines the per kilowatt charge. That's for this, and this is for Okewenge. So the rate itself that was filed with the PRC, this one was done on August 17th, 2012, goes through and has different explanations of how we come up with that charge. And what they did is, I'm looking for the amount on that. Okay, I wanted to go in here, and we're in rate rider number 3, which is the local charge. The reason I'm bringing you in here is not only does it have the explanation and the per kilowatt charge that will be charged for this time period, but it also has the total amount that's being charged for the entire length of the 25-year access easement. And so in this case it's $11,250,000. The actual exhibits to this were filed with the PRC in each individual case and are available if you go to the actual rate number, the rate case number that's associated with that, and we'll cover that a little later on. So what we're doing is we're getting the $11,250,000, which was we were allowed to pay over a 25-year period, and whatever's due for that year we'll divide up into those two categories, local and system, and then divide that even further into the kilowatts that were used that past year to get a per kilowatt charge. So that ends up on your bill. So if you have a rate rider 2, that means you don't live within the pueblo, but you're being assessed the system rate rider charge, and that's a cumulative charge as each pueblo is filed with the PRC. This will go up. If you'll notice, last year this was 0.0004, and now since we had Okewenge and now we've added Powake, it's gone up to 0.00133. And of course that's assessed on your total kilowatt usage. Then you have your local rate rider, which is going to be everything other than rate rider 2, and in this case rate rider 3 is the rate rider for Okewenge, and that charge is going to be this 0.00727. And so no one will ever have more than the two rate riders, and most people will just have the one. So what we'll do is at the end of the year, we'll track all the money that we've collected and compare them to what we've paid out. And of course, there's always going to be a slight difference. And if it's over or under, when we're recalculating the rate, we'll either add or subtract that, and then that'll be calculated into the system and the local charges. Okay, so that's a pretty brief overview of the rate riders that we have filed with the PRC. Right now we are only recovering the cost to the two pueblos, and we have 3 more that are in the rate process with the PRC, going through mediation, and so it's undetermined what those riders will cost at this time, but they're getting pretty close to, they'll start having hearings now the beginning of next year, and so you'll probably start seeing those charges a little later on. And with that, I'm sure there's going to be questions, but I want to let you know of a couple of places to look for more in-depth descriptions and stuff. And so first of all, if you would go to our rate section and actually read through the rates, they have some pretty good descriptions on how we come about those, as far as how the easements were settled and those kinds of things. Those have been negotiated with the board members and the general managers through the last couple of years, and will continue on as we still need to do some of the remaining pueblos. And so those are some ongoing things, but as those are settled, then we'll file rates to recover those costs. So going to the actual rates themselves, and the riders themselves will give some good explanations, and they have some information like how much we actually paid and what it's going to cost you. And then another place to go is our Native American Access Cost Recovery Update page, which I mentioned earlier. Not only does it have the Google Earth map to determine whether you live in a pueblo or not, but each pueblo is outlined on there, and it has different documents and notes on how far along they are in the rate proceedings with the PRC. And of course it'll tell you what's upcoming. So right now we actually have a mediation going on with San Ildefonso. Nambe has finished up their mediation. Nambe and Santa Clara have finished up their mediation, and they'll go through the hearings on those. And then of course Powaka and Okewanga are already done, and we're recovering the cost on those. So these are all the PRC documentations there. And then if you also would go to the actual Public Regulation Commission website, and you can go to their e-docket and actually look at, there's piles of documentation and testimony that's been filed on behalf of the Cooperative and the staff at the PRC and anybody who intervened in that case. And if I can find it here, you can always sign in as a web guest or register and have your own login. So if you log in here, you can actually look it up by the rate case, which was listed on the Native American page on our website. So if you go over here to quick case search, or you can even look it up under the Cooperative, Amos Electric. And so like on this one for Okewanga, you have 12.00020 UT. You can look this up, and it gives you all the case documentation, and those are all PDFs that go through the life of the hearing, and it has mountains of documentation and explanations of how the methodology was established. Another place to go is if the actual CRD, which is the Customer Relations Division at the Public Regulation Commission, And if you talk to any one of their representatives, they're very well versed on the whole methodology process that we took for these rate riders, and they're all very helpful. So if you go to the Consumer Relations page and talk to any one of them. And of course the commissioners have also had a hand in developing, in improving the development of this methodology. In conclusion, I'd like to take you one more time to our website to give you our contact information, because of course you can always contact any one of our district offices and get more information on the Rate 19 riders and the access cost recovery method. Thank you.